I'm going to talk to you today about the layers of the Earth. The Earth is divided into four distinct layers: the crust, the mantle, the outer core, and the inner core. The outermost layer is called the crust, and it consists of everything we can see and what we live on, including the bottom of the ocean. It's the thinnest layer, even though underneath the continents it's pretty thick, but in perspective, it's the thinnest layer. The crust can look very different in its appearance. We can see mountains, and we have plains, and there's lakes, and the ocean floor, and this is because the crust is not made up of one continuous piece. Instead, it's made up of chunks of crust called tectonic plates, and these overlap and cover the entire planet. The tectonic plates move around, and sometimes they slip a little where they overlap, and this causes an earthquake. These plates sit on top of the very top of the next layer called the mantle. The mantle isn't really a solid, and it isn't really a liquid either. It is highly viscous, which means there's a lot of resistance to the flow. An example of something like this would be silly putty. Think about if you rolled a ball of silly putty and set it on the counter and then came back to it a few hours later. It's going to be kind of melted and not really a sphere anymore. The mantle is divided into the upper and lower mantle. The upper mantle, with its slow moving and churning, can cause a lot of pressure to build up, and sometimes this pressure causes the mantle to leak out onto the Earth's surface. Those leaks can be found at volcanoes and in the mid-ocean ridge at the very bottom of the ocean. The next layer of Earth is called the outer core. This is the liquid layer of Earth, made up of mostly iron and nickel. This is called magma. It's really hot, melted rock. Scientists have hypothesized that these liquid metals influence the Earth's magnetic field, which is responsible for the North and South poles, and perhaps it's even responsible for protecting our atmosphere from getting blown away by the sun's solar wind. The inner core is made of the same metals as the outer core, iron and nickel, but instead of being a liquid, it's a solid. Now the two layers are equally as hot. They're about as hot as the surface of the sun, but the immense pressure on the inner core causes it to be a solid rather than a liquid. So, if scientists haven't studied anything below 7 miles under the Earth's surface, which they haven't, how can we know that all these layers exist or are what we say they are? The most important thing that we use to study the Earth's interior are seismic waves, which are caused by either earthquakes or by massive explosions which man caused. As these waves travel throughout the Earth and encounter different materials, they change. Sometimes they become shorter, or they might become longer, or faster, or slower, and this gives geologists important clues as to the composition of the Earth.